There is speculation in Australia that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson could compete at the Elimination Chamber event in Perth next year prior to a WrestleMania showdown against Roman Reigns. Details on that, plus Eddie Kingston reveals he has signed a brand new 4-year contract with All Elite Wrestling. SHEAMUS is spotted wearing a neck brace and he's dealing reportedly with a really bad shoulder injury. An update on how the new deal seeing SmackDown returning to USA Network could affect schedules for WWE shows and beyond outside of WWE. Details on that, plus Chris Jericho is returning to Japan to face an AEW star for a promotion he's never wrestled before in his career, and an update on WWE's international expansion, which included previously an unknown offer for a British-based wrestling promotion. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. And let's start off talking about The Rock, because some speculation is suggesting that maybe, just maybe, WWE is considering working out a deal that could see The Rock perform for the first time in over a decade, with his first match actually taking place outside of the United States of America, instead in Perth in Australia at Elimination Chamber next year. Now, it must be said from the outlook, we must stress this is more sort of speculation as opposed to factual reporting, but certainly it's very interesting. Just a few days after the WWE and UFC merger was complete, forming TKO Group Holdings, a publicly traded company owned by Endeavor, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson made his triumphant return to sports entertainment on an episode of SmackDown. Following an appearance up the road in Colorado on the Pat McAfee show, The Rock and the former NFL punter made their way to Friday Night SmackDown in Denver. The multi-time WWE champion participated in an old-school promo battle with Austin Theory before laying out the young star and dropping a pair of people's elbows alongside McAfee. The Rock's return was a welcome surprise for pro wrestling fans, and it appears he may not be away from the WWE fold for long, according to this speculatory piece. The West Australian reports that there is, quote, talk that The Rock may compete at the WWE Elimination Chamber Premium Live event taking place on February 24, 2024 at the Optus Stadium in Perth, Western Australia. It was noted that there is a, quote, strong suggestion that WWE's new Endeavor ownership wants their first WrestleMania to be a, quote, absolute showstopper, and having The Rock compete 2 months before the big event could be the jumpstart on the road to WrestleMania. The report also states that The Rock's match on the card could build to a hotly buzzed about WrestleMania 40 mega match against his cousin, undisputed WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns. Fans have clamored for a bout between the two family members for years, and many thought it would happen at WrestleMania 39 before Cody Rhodes won the Royal Rumble match. Cody Rhodes won that big multi-man match, and he set his sights on the Tribal Chief, and The Rock's name was dropped from the conversation. It does appear that there was something to the rumors about a WrestleMania match between the two, however, as The Rock revealed on McAfee's show that the match was, quote, locked in before falling apart due to a lack of compelling creative. The Great One, though, did make it clear that he is open to a match at WrestleMania 40, and a win at the Elimination Chamber event would seem to set that up nicely. Now, certainly, it's very interesting here because Nick Hausman of House of Wrestling is reporting that he was told by a senior member of WWE that they felt the WrestleMania 39 story with Rhodes was better than anything they could have done with Reigns and The Rock. In an update on this as well, as I mentioned, this kind of set social media on fire very quickly once the report came out and social media sort of gathered the report. However, several have reached out to WWE and the senior members of the WWE public relations team about this Western Australia report, and the response from WWE is that they are telling everyone it's a case of, quote, tabloids being tabloids. But it hasn't stopped WWE stars from picking up on it as well. For example, Grayson Waller, a native of Australia, has posted to social media by saying the following, quote, don't be silly and try to come to Australia, Dwayne. We want you to be healthy in April. So the question is, what do you make of these reports? Is this just a case of an outlet in Australia speculating because a big show has been announced? Or is it a case of them hearing things from maybe Australian sources that WWE have promised them that The Rock could show up or The Rock is going to be a part of this, maybe dishing on some creative plans ahead of the big event next year? Where do you think this one's going? Let me know your thoughts about that. And also, does the pending end to the writer's strike and possibly the actor's strike affect The Rock's participation in WrestleMania next year? Let me know your thoughts about all of it in the comment section section below. Now let's switch gears here and talk about AEW, because Eddie Kingston, of course, it's been a big week for the Mad King, winning Ring of Honor World Championship gold, and he's also put pen to paper on a new contract with All Elite Wrestling. Eddie Kingston is going to remain All Elite for the foreseeable future. During a recent interview of ad-free shows, the Ring of Honor World Champion revealed that he recently signed a brand new 4-year deal with Tony Khan's promotion. However, he isn't making a big deal out of it, as he'd rather keep his personal business to himself. He said, quote, "If you notice, you haven't heard anything about me with contracts because I did my shit on the low. My thing was coming up. I got 4 more years, so I'm straight. No one needs to know how much. No one needs to know how long. I got my shit, and I'm going to be there for a minute because there's nowhere else I want to be," Kingston said. Of course, Kingston has been a member of the AEW roster since 2020. He debuted as part of Cody Rhodes' TNT Open Championship Challenge storyline, and his performance was so impressive that he was offered a deal immediately afterwards. Kingston has said previously that he almost retired before joining All Elite Wrestling, as the pandemic had forced him to reconsider his career options. However, the AEW contract allowed him to make a living during a stressful time for the entire industry. The veteran has also received a push lately on television. On the latest episode of AEW Dynamite, the Grand Slam edition of Dynamite from Arthur Ashe Stadium in Queens, New York, Kingston finally overcame his arch-rival Claudio Castagnoli to win the Ring of Honor World Championship. What's more, he's scheduled to defend his title along with his New Japan Strong Openweight Championship against Katsuyori Shibata at AEW Wrestle Dream this coming Sunday. Let me know your thoughts about Kingston sticking around for 4 more years in All Elite Wrestling. Now, a bit of an update when it comes to SHEAMUS. We haven't seen him on television really since that match against Edge, and reportedly the Celtic Warrior is dealing with a really bad injury. The 18th of August edition of SmackDown proved to be an historic show, as it seemed to mark the final match in the WWE career, certainly for now or maybe ever, for the Rated R superstar Edge. His opponent on that night in Toronto was the Celtic Warrior, and neither man has been seen on WWE television since. While Edge may be considering whether to move on to pastures new, retire, or maybe even return to WWE, the Irish star's absence from television while his Brawling Brutes teammates Butch and Rich Holland continue to compete has raised some questions. Now, Dave Meltzer has reported in the Wrestling Observer newsletter that, quote, "SHEAMUS has a really bad shoulder injury, by the way. That's why he hasn't been on TV or at house shows." Now, the former WWE champion has been spotted in a neck brace in a photo that he shared on social media, as he and some friends cheered on Ireland in the Rugby World Cup as they defeated South Africa. When it comes to SHEAMUS as well, his name has been in the headlines recently, in addition to people wondering where he is as part of his absence. But according to a recent report from Fightful Select, SHEAMUS, Becky Lynch, and Drew McIntyre are among multiple stars whose WWE contracts will expire next year in 2024 at various points. Sources indicated to Fightful that the Irish star's deal could be up in the first quarter or the first half of next year, but that has yet to be confirmed, and there are many factors that could potentially change the time frame. For instance, he's off television now of an injury. They could very well add that time on, so his actual expiration date could vary at any point. Earlier this month, it was reported that WWE had added time to Drew McIntyre's contract due to injury. The Scottish star's contract was originally expected to finish up before the end of 2023, but he is now said to be locked in until around the time of WrestleMania 40 in early April. Should SHEAMUS have to miss any time through injury, that would likely happen to his deal, as I mentioned as well. Now, lots of people are still talking about the new deal that will see SmackDown return to the USA Network next year and leave Fox, but it could have a ripple effect, not only for WWE, but also for other promotions as well. Could a new deal for WWE and SmackDown lead to more changes in wrestling's weekly calendar? WWE is undergoing some major changes of late, with the company now merged, as I mentioned, with UFC under the TKO Group banner, following the takeover of the company by Endeavor. That brought an end to 40 years of majority ownership of the sports entertainment giant by Vince McMahon, who became executive chairman of TKO Group when the deal was finalized on September 12. TKO Group and NBC Universal have now agreed a new 5-year deal that will see SmackDown return to the USA Network beginning in October 2024. The deal will also see the company produce 4 specials a year for NBC Primetime. Again, we don't know what those specials are going to be. Some are speculating it could be Saturday night's main event, it could be something else. But what does this switch mean for SmackDown, for WWE, as well as other promotions such as AEW? Speaking about the situation on Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer noted that WWE could be open to changing nights of other shows now that SmackDown is moving from Fox. Quote, "From a WWE standpoint, as far as trying to save money and make life easier on the executives, Levesque and all the people that are overseeing everything, it makes most sense to have the shows on 2 consecutive nights, whether that's Monday, Tuesday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or whatever. It saves money. You are not flying everybody out, flying the production crew out to set up on a Monday and then come back on a Friday. The reason it was Monday, Friday was that there were overriding things and Fox wanted Friday. It was Monday, Tuesday, but they wanted it as a bridge. They wanted to do football on a Thursday, SmackDown on a Friday, college football on a Saturday, and NFL on a Sunday. That was their method of the Friday night idea. Meltzer added that the consequences of WWE moving shows around throughout the week could then have a knock-on effect on other promotions such as All Elite Wrestling. Quote, I think it will be interesting then what happens to everyone else. If they, WWE, go on to Wednesday, does AEW stay on Wednesday or do they try and move to an open day? AEW, when they were on TNT, they were limited in the sense that they couldn't run Tuesday. Originally, of course, this is a sidebar from what Meltzer was saying, originally Dynamite was meant to be on Tuesday. They had trademarked the term Tuesday Night Dynamite, but then because they were on TNT, they had to move to Wednesday. Going back to what Meltzer said, he said, quote, Tony Khan wanted Tuesday and it would coincide with SmackDown moving to Friday. The problem was that TNT had the NBA on Tuesday, so there was no chance of doing that. Now they are on TBS, there are different scheduled things, there are different days of the week open. If WWE makes the move and does a show on Wednesday, AEW can move it to another day. I think the whole schedule will be interesting to see how it turns out. Then Impact would move to any free day if WWE or AEW do something on a Thursday. I guess it's a wait and see kind of thing. As it stands, SmackDown looks like it will remain on a Friday night on USA Network, but there are questions raised about the future of Raw and NXT, which as of right now both air on USA, but it's been speculated that they could leave the network and move possibly to a streaming service or another cable network. So where do you think this one is going to go? What do you think that new possible lineup looks like, or is Meltzer overthinking things? Are things going to remain largely the same when SmackDown moves to USA Network? Now, Chris Jericho is going back to Japan, but not for New Japan Pro Wrestling, for DDT-PRO. Chris Jericho is coming for Don Callis after being embarrassed last week during AEW Dynamite Grand Slam, when his longtime friend Sammy Guevara turned on him and joined Don Callis' growing family. Jericho isn't taking this latest shot lightly. First, he'll be teaming with Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi at WrestleDream to take on Callis' trio of Guevara, Will Ospreay, and Konosuke Takeshita. But over the weekend, as Callis accompanied Takeshita to the ring for a match in DDT-PRO Wrestling, Jericho sent along the following video message, challenging Takeshita for a match overseas in the coming weeks. The date is set for November 12 at the Sumo Hall for an Ultimate Party 2023. Jericho is no stranger to wrestling in Japan, having been involved with New Japan Pro Wrestling on numerous occasions over the years, but this particular match will mark Jericho's first time ever wrestling for DDT. Let's not forget that Jericho's feud with Callis comes after weeks of the heel mastermind attempting to recruit the Ocho to join his new family and leave the Jericho Appreciation Society behind. After weighing his options and being abandoned by his JAS minions over his indecisiveness, Jericho finally made the call to say yes to Callis, only for those plans to go awry, placing Jericho in the family's crosshairs. That led to his defeat at the hands of Will Ospreay at this year's AEW All-In at London's Wembley Stadium. Callis' family has quickly assembled a who's who of enemies in AEW, with those feuds now extending to international waters. With Takeshita's match now set for several weeks from now, it doesn't look like any of the scores will be settled with this one bout at WrestleDream this Sunday. Finally, a bit of an update on WWE's international expansion plans. We had kind of heard about this last year with NXT Europe, etc. WWE has now filed to trademark an intriguing term coined by Triple H with the United States Patent and Trademark Office. On September 18, WWE filed an application to trademark the term global localization. The filing indicates that WWE intends to use this term in the category of entertainment services. Again, this is quite fascinating because during the 2018 WWE Business Partner Summit, Triple H noted the following about global localization, saying, quote, I quickly realized NXT needed a feeder system of its own. We had to reimagine again how and where we were recruiting. We had to find the right people not only inside of the United States, but outside as well. NXT was the first of these international brands to be introduced, of course. While this brand is now defunct, WWE had previously discussed plans to relaunch it as NXT Europe, a hub for WWE in Europe. Now, WWE's hosted a number of major international shows this year, including Backlash in Puerto Rico, Night of Champions in Saudi Arabia, Money in the Bank in the UK. The company has now announced the return to Australia in February of next year for the Elimination Chamber Premium Live event as well. So certainly it looks like WWE has big plans when it comes to expanding not only events, but also hubs around the world next year. But what's quite interesting about this international expansion, and particularly NXT UK and NXT Europe, according to Will Ospreay, Revolution Pro Wrestling owner and
Andy Quildan turned down a 7-figure offer from WWE. Ospreay made this claim after retaining the IWGP UK Heavyweight Championship against Yota Tsuji in the main event of New Japan Pro Wrestling's Destruction in Kobe event this past weekend. He said, quote, a small independent UK company that had millions of dollars from WWE offered to them, and he turned it down because he believed in Revolution Pro Wrestling. I believe in Revolution Pro Wrestling, but more importantly, I believe in this flag, the UK flag, and our pro wrestlers. I'm looking forward to bringing New Japan back to Royal Quest. Ospreay didn't, though, specify when this offer was made. UK-based REVPRO, which was formed in 2012, is set to stream the New Japan Royal Quest 3 event in London, England, live on their REVPRO on-demand service on October 14. Ospreay will defend the IWGP UK Heavyweight Championship against Zack Sabre Jr. at that show. REVPRO initially established a working relationship with New Japan in 2015. A number of New Japan stars recently appeared at REVPRO's 11-year anniversary show during AEW's All-In Weekend in London. Of course, WWE has worked with various independent promotions in recent years, particularly in Europe. In 2020, WWE purchased Evolve after building a working relationship with the organization. That same year, Progress Wrestling, Insane Championship Wrestling, and Westside Extreme Wrestling began airing on the WWE Network. Progress and ICW's deals with WWE came to an end earlier this year. So it's up to you to determine how successful or profitable they actually were. But there you go, guys. That's the latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash the like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe bottom right-hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.